In the last session, we looked at credit risk assessment models to estimate the probability of default of individual corporate loans. In this session, we will look at two other aspects of managing credit risk on corporate loans: loan concentration risk and loan portfolio risk. Loan concentration risk first. As the name suggests, loan concentration risk refers to the risk associated with loans by a lending institution that are more concentrated, for instance, in a particular industry sector, or to a single firm, or to a group of related firms. Over the next few minutes, we will look at some concepts and examples to understand how a proactive and continuous assessment of loan concentration risk could significantly reduce potential losses for the lending institution. First on the list is what we refer to as migration analysis. Migration analysis involves tracking the Standard & Poor and/or Moody's credit rating on specific sectors or a specific pool of loans. If the credit rating of a number of firms in that sector or in that pool of loans decline faster than what has been historically the case, the lending institution should or would proactively scale down its lending to that sector or to that pool of loans. Next, loan migration matrix. This method seeks to track the migration in the credit rating of a pool of loans over a period in time. Here's a table that shows a hypothetical migration matrix. The percentage shown in each cell in that table is referred to as transition probabilities. Each cell in the matrix shows the percentage of borrowers who migrated from the rating shown in the corresponding row to the corresponding column during the course of the year. For example, 80% of the loans that had a rating of, say, BBB at the start of the year also ended up with BBB at the end of the year. The 9% in the next cell to the right shows that 9% of the loans which had a BBB rating at the start of the year were downgraded to CCC by the end of the year, and 7% of the loans that had a rating of BBB at the start of the year were upgraded to AAA by the end of the year. Now, how do lending institutions use this matrix? Let us say a lending institution is assessing the credit risk of its current portfolio of loans that were rated CCC at the start of the year. Let's look at the table again. The loan migration matrix shows a significant percentage, 15%, have been downgraded to default category from CCC rating during the year. This should prompt the lending institution to proactively restrict further lending to CCC rated firms and instead focus on lending to companies with a higher credit rating, even at the cost of reduction in interest income. Simultaneously, the lending institution should increase the credit risk premium and hence the interest rate on its portfolio of CCC rated loans to protect itself against potential increase in loan losses due to increasing default in that category of loans. Now let's turn our attention to concentration limit. Oftentimes, to eliminate the risk of loan concentration, i.e. lending excessively to one firm or a group of related firms or to a particular sector, lending institutions and or the banking regulator in that country could impose what is popularly referred to as concentration limit, linked to the lending institution's capital or net worth. This is to ensure adequate protection to the lending institution even if those concentrated loans default on their payment obligations. Here's an example. Say the board of directors or the banking regulator in the country mandates that losses attributable to a particular industry sector or a group of related firms cannot exceed 10% of the lending institution's capital. If the expected losses based on past data for every currency unit of default in that sector or in that group of loans is, say, 50%, the maximum loan to that sector or to the group of firms as a percentage of capital, that is, the concentration limit, will be limited to 10% into 1 upon 50%, which is equal to 20%. Remember, the board of directors had set a limit of 10% and the default rate was 50%. That is how we arrived at this 10% into 1 upon 50% equal to 20%. Now, how does this map itself? If a bank's capital is, say, 1 million currency units, based on the loan concentration limit computation that we just did, no more than 200,000 currency units can be lent to a single firm or a group of firms or to a single sector.